All right. Hello, everyone. I'm J.S. Garrett, and I have a very special guest with me here today, Miss Orlee Stewart. How you doing, Orlee?
Hey, I am doing just fine. How are you doing today?
I'm doing really good, really good. It's a pleasure to have you on. I really appreciate you doing this, and I've been looking forward to talking to you for a really long time. So, yeah, I wanted to talk about your artwork a little bit. You created this painting for me of Astarte, and I just want to say, like, my wife and I fell in love with this, like, the moment we got it. It is completely beautiful and original, and it's really very close to how I picture her whenever I'm working with her. And I didn't really give you any hints as to how she appeared or anything like that. I gave you a ritual to do. It's the same type of ritual that I do when I'm working with her, and you perform that and ask for an image. Is that correct?
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's kind of amazing that you say that, and thank you so much. I'm so glad that you two love it because doing this kind of painting for people really brings so much purpose to my life. I absolutely love being able to create spiritual artwork for people because my true will is all intertwined with helping inspire the divine within people and using my artwork to help manifest that in the world. And so I have had some pretty incredible things happen in regards to the images that I create being like things that people have envisioned before. Like I recently did a commission for a woman and I painted a woman with a strawberry and a moon, and she didn't tell me what to paint, and she calls one of her kids strawberry and the other kid her moon, and she was just freaking out about that because I somehow like tapped into her subconscious and pulled forth that image. And that's really exactly what I'm trying to do. And that's also why I asked you for the specific ritual that you did to evoke her or invoke her, because I want to be able to get into that specific headspace that the person that I'm creating the painting is for, and like the one that you go into when you see them, because that place where you're getting that image from, I feel like it's the source of all information, like from the divine. And when I try to create artwork like this, I'm trying to tap into that same source.
Well, you certainly did that with this painting. You know, like the colors really blew me away. I mean, I didn't tell you what kind of colors that I liked or anything like that. But with her, I see red and purple around her whenever I work with her. And
That's so cool.
coming out of this hand, you have red, and then coming out of this one, you have purple. And it's
Yeah, yeah, that's honestly,
and
that's so awesome because
yeah,
that's just like I when I get into the so when I get into doing a magical painting for a person, I do the ritual, and I really try to listen to what the spirit wants. And there are times when I'll have to paint something over and over again because they'll tell me that like I didn't do it good enough. Like they're like, no, you made my hair not pretty enough or something like that. And then I'll just redo it. And I totally am not going with like what my own aesthetic choices are, but I'm just listening to what the spirit is telling me to do.
I definitely see that. And it's also very similar to the way I picture her, like very voluptuous and beautiful and elegant. And you definitely captured that as well. Now, I had a really crazy experience with this painting the night that I got it, and it's very personal, but I'm going to share it because I feel like I need to. You would It's almost like that picture is a gateway to the spirit that they can come through. And what I experienced, I have an altar set up for her in my bedroom. And after I received the painting, I hung it directly above the altar. I lit some candles and some incense, and I just kind of sat back on my bed and stared at it for a while. And as I was gazing into the painting from across the room, it started coming to life. Like the figure in the painting started to move around. And at that point, it looked kind of like a heat wave, like a shimmer came out of the painting. And I literally felt like a physical presence crawl up onto the bed with me, and it was like it was like being ravaged by the goddess, literally. Like I could feel this incredible tingly energy going from my toes to the top of my head throughout my entire body, and it kind of felt like my arms and legs were being swallowed by giant serpents, and that went on for about an hour. That was really intense and really incredible. I
Wow.
was just wondering if has anyone else reported having an experience like that, or
No, 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 but honestly, I've only really started doing very serious, evocative, magical art within the past couple of months. Before then, a lot of the commissions I was getting were not magical paintings. And so, working as an artist, we have to do the work that we're given. So, like, if I'm painting
yeah.
somebody's pet, it's not going to have the same kind of effect as something like this. And it's only since I started being more outspoken about it, I mean, about my own magic on the internet, that people started realizing that I could do this kind of magical artwork. And I've only really been like coming into my abilities of that like within this past maybe 6 months.
Wow, wow, that's
Yeah.
yeah, that's really incredible, and I I was totally blown away by the whole experience. But I mean, from the time I received the image to noticing the similarities with how I picture her and the images that she shows me, and then and to have her literally come through the painting, it's as if it is a spiritual gateway in itself. So it's not just a painting. You have created a magical tool or a magical gateway for the spirit through doing this ritual and painting it the way you do.
That's so cool. Like I
Yeah.
did a painting for JD Temple before your painting, and I really wanted to create like a magical portal for him, like for spirits to go through that painting. And then I basically go about this method where I start creating the background like as if it is a portal visually and building it from there, like with layers and layers of paint. And it's not just the act of painting, but the whole process that I go through involves like a bunch of different magical things. So would it be okay if I talk a little bit about like my techniques
Yeah,
of how
please
to
do.
create it?
Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
awesome. So a couple of things. So first of all, I have been working with ceremonial magic and demons in particular for quite some time, and the demons have helped me to work on my visionary abilities. In particular, the demon Sire from the Goetia, in one of my evocations with him, I asked for him to help me with the ability to have these visionary powers. And he gave me instructions to make this magical necklace. And
Oh
so
wow,
basically, it's a quartz crystal.
that is beautiful.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, so it's a quartz crystal, and I've attached this like protection of the evil eye, and then this red string. And what's crazy about it is that I had the hardest time finding red string like years ago when I made this. I searched so many art supply stores. I went all around town, and then I asked at like some random art supply store if they had any red string, and they didn't have any in this actual store, but they had some behind the counter for like packaging and stuff. They were like, yeah, here's some right here. And the guy just like cut off a piece of it and just handed it to me, and I didn't have to pay for it or anything. It was so crazy. And so this is supposed to be like, it's basically a magical necklace that when I wear it, it gives me visionary powers and helps me tap into the spirit world. I feel like, the spirit, his energy goes into this crystal, and then somehow that works with my energy body and activates these abilities. It's pretty awesome, like wearing it, because it definitely helps me get into like a state that some people might use, like for example, drugs for, but I don't need to do that because I could just wear this necklace, and it's pretty fucking cool.
That
So
is really cool.
yeah, so
Yeah, very cool.
that was one of the first things that I started doing, and then some other things that I started doing was in my magical practices, like for my general workings, I started using one of my paintbrushes as my wand. So
Yeah,
yeah,
that's brilliant.
so that has like basically, I suppose, enchanted my paintbrush. And so then when I use that in paintings, it has all the power from those rituals that I had done previously that didn't even have to do with painting, but it all just got charged up from that. And so that now goes into the paintings. And this is something that I just thought about doing like a couple of months ago as well. The crystal necklace I've had for probably like 6 years now, but the paintbrush thing is something I figured out like only recently. And then the other thing that I started doing, which was also only recently, is remember that blood moon that we had like last month or whenever, that
Yeah.
crazy one? All right, so I'm a bishop from the lineage of the wandering bishops. So
Okay.
I have the ability to make holy water. So I made holy water on that blood moon, and I mix it into the water of my paintings when I do them. So the water goes into the acrylic paint, and then there's basically holy water in the paintings. Or maybe it should be
Wow.
called unholy water if I have made it. But it,
Unholy water.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah, so those are some things that I've been doing to help make the painting even more magical than just merely the subject matter itself as well.
Wow, that's really awesome. That just goes to show how these magical techniques can be used for anything. I mean, no matter what your profession is or what you're trying to improve on. Like the thing you talked about with using your brush as a magical wand. I mean, that is genius, and that's a prime example of how this can be used for anything. Because I mean, we know from metaphysics and science that everything is fluid. Everything is energy. So by putting that energy with that intent, you can turn any object into a magical object, including the tools that you use in your everyday life. So that's a really ingenious move, and I imagine that other artists out there are going to take that idea and run with it as well. So hats off to you for being innovative and
Thank you. Definitely the spirits just,
doing
gave me that information. And what's so, cool about that is even if you're not a painter, whatever it is that you do that is the thing that you love, bring that into your magic. And it's amazing like how you can incorporate like pretty much anything through that method into your magical rituals. Like if you're a musician or something like that, bring your violin or whatever like into your ritual, and then all of a sudden and like use it for something like,
Yeah.
and then it becomes magical. And it really helps us to basically create a more magical life and world.
Very cool, very cool. And yeah, the job that I work in my regular life, one of the things I do is paint. It's not like with a paintbrush; it's with a paint gun. I have to spray like really high-end countertops and things of that nature, the same way you would paint a car. And that was the position that I just kind of got tossed into. I didn't have any training or anyone to show me how to do this. It's a very, very difficult thing to learn on your own. And so I was doing evocation work back then to help me get better at this so that I could keep my job. And I started receiving instructions when I was in the paint booth, spray like this, adjust my gun to this setting, things of that nature. So I mean, you can really use these techniques for anything, and anything that you're trying to learn or improve on, there's going to be a spirit that can help you do that. So yeah, that's really really cool.
Absolutely. I had some really neat luck with, not in terms of magical tools, but when it comes to becoming better as an artist. I did go to university for art, but it was for videos. So I'm pretty much self-taught when it comes to my drawing and painting, all just based on practice. However, I did do a evocation of the planetary Olympic spirit Ophiel many years ago. And he's
Okay.
a spirit of Mercury. And I asked him to improve my artistic abilities. And it was amazing how much it changed just within a few days after doing that ritual. And it was one of the very first like serious times when I was actually trying to evoke a spirit, and it was absolutely phenomenal, like at how much it changed me.
Oh yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, so I did want to talk to you a little bit about your background as a magician. Now you've been practicing for quite a while, and you've also taught how to perform evocation and things of that nature. So, are you comfortable with giving us a little bit of
Yeah,
background?
absolutely. So I have been, even though I may look kind of young, I have been practicing magic for about 11 years now, like very seriously. I've been involved in a lot of different magical orders. Nowadays, I do my own thing because that's sort of what works best for me. And I started off working with different spirits like Hecate and the goddess Mot from the Egyptian pantheon, all death goddesses, because I've had a lot of crazy paranormal experiences all my life, and the dark mysteries have really been appealing to me. And so the dark goddesses have always just sort of been there, as they do, to initiate us into those mysteries. And then from there, I started getting really into working with the Goetia and summoning demons, and had such an amazing time because the ability to actually see these spirits and get information from them was absolutely so amazing, because magic is one of those things where it sounds so crazy, but if you actually do the work, and like at this point I had been practicing things like, meditation, all kinds of spiritual different practices, like with my energy body, like light work on myself, working with angels as well, like for, maybe 6 or 7 years before I got really heavily into working with the demons. So I already had like this intense personal power, but I never really like been able to get the spirits to come and talk to me. But once I started working with the demons, that's when it really started happening. And it didn't matter if people are like, this stuff isn't real. Like if you do this for long enough and it starts happening and manifesting, there's absolutely no doubt about it. Like it has evidence that plays out everywhere. And it started changing my life forever, where anytime I needed to change my life and change my reality, the spirits were very willing to help me. And then from working with the Goetia, I also started getting really into working with Enochian magic and
Okay.
myself. Yeah, and Enochian magic is pretty intense. A lot of people speculate that it is related to the idea of the apocalypse, and that's something that's always been really interesting to me, because I call myself on my Facebook page Mother of Abominations, because I've always been fascinated by the book of Revelation and the apocalypse, and the idea of the meaning of the apocalypse being the revealing of that which is hidden. And that is basically like the manifesto behind the artwork that I do. And like I've always considered myself and my paintings to kind of be like my abominations that I'm bringing into the earth, and things like that. And the idea of Babylon has always been so inspiring to me. Like I have her tattooed on me. I've had this since 2012, when I went through like my own personal end of the world, and Babylon was there to give me strength. And she's the goddess from the book of Revelation that Aleister Crowley turned into a positive image, but in Christianity she's seen as like a terrible harlot. However, she's been reclaimed. And so the idea of the apocalypse and all that was already appealing to me. And so myself and a previous partner had started doing this really, really intense Enochian magic every day for months to create this magical book. And the idea was making this magical book would help manifest the apocalypse in the world. And that was one of the first times that I actually started doing magical drawing and scrying during a ritual. So like he would do the magical invocations and stuff. And of course I helped as well. But then at one point in it, he would go into prayer, and then I would have to create these images. And have this whole book. There's like over 100 images, because we went through every single entity in the Enochian tablets, and then finally ending with the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, and created this book that he actually passed away mysteriously a couple of years ago. And so I don't know what happened to the actual book, but I do have it all on my Facebook. So all
Oh,
the images
wow.
are saved. Yeah, all the images are saved. I'm going to have to do something with that at some point
Hmm.
because it was really intense. And so that was one of the first times that like I seriously tried to get images from spirits for some kind of practical way, aside from just an aesthetic purpose.
Yeah.
And that was really intense. And so after all that, I had a lot of, magical experience. And in the magical order that I was in, I was also serving as a priestess in the Gnostic Mass. And so, for people that don't really know what that is, it's kind of like a blasphemous mass that has to do with like Babylon and chaos and Baphomet. And so, I spent like a number of years training to be a priestess in that and serving as clergy in those services, as well as I was teaching classes to people. And my area of expertise was summoning demons because that's just what's fun for me. And so I started doing that for like a number of years until I decided it was best to just branch off and do my own thing. And that's when I started my YouTube channel. And here we are. So yeah, I've been doing the YouTube magical videos now for like maybe a couple months, over a year. And it's been so fun. And the most amazing thing about it is that like I am just constantly filled with inspiration. Something is always happening to inspire
Yeah.
some new video. And so instead of managing classes and organizing things for various groups, I put that energy just into the YouTube channel and being able to share the information with even more people. And that's why I love it so much, because it's helping me to like reach even more people with this stuff than I was when I was just teaching classes for these private groups. And so yeah, that's basically what's
Wow.
going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You touched on a lot of interesting things there. First of all, I'm sorry to hear about the passing of your partner. That's
Yeah, that
very
was sad.
unfortunate.
It's really sad. Like, actually, if people want to check out, he actually has a YouTube channel. His name was Ryan Adam Murray, and he had a lot of really amazing YouTube videos. And part of why I wanted to actually make my YouTube channel was like after he passed away, I was like, oh my goodness, like there was so much more stuff that he wanted to do, and I wasn't together with him anymore at the time, but I still felt really bad because
Yeah.
he was so young when he died. And but the fact is that he put so much on YouTube that's actually like really good. Like he has some of the best videos out there on Enochian magic that you guys can find. So if you guys check out Ryan Adam Murray, that's his YouTube channel. And so when he passed away, I was like, damn, like I need to like start doing some things, because like if I died or whatever, like God forbid, like at least this information is out there for people, because the internet is such a great way of spreading that. And
Yeah.
that was part of the catalyst for me as well for doing the channel.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome that you're doing that. And it sounds like you guys were working on a pretty interesting project there. You were talking about, bringing forth the apocalypse. I think because of, television and religion, people think of that as an extremely bad thing. But if you look at the state that the world is currently in, it starts to look more and more like a good thing, like
Yeah.
a massive transformation of the earth is how I look at it. Another thing that's interesting is you've worked with angelics as well as demonic entities, and that's something that I myself have actually done, is worked with both. And I don't know too many other magicians. It's normally like one or the other, that they work with. And so I was just wondering, like, did you notice like a huge difference? I mean, I know you said you had better results working with the demonics, but as far as being in the presence of an angel versus being in the presence of a demon, could you tell them apart if the two were standing side by side?
Honestly, no. Like the angels are just as dark and crazy as the demons. Like maybe even worse, because they have this like you're sort of lulled into thinking that it's going to be some sort of sweet thing, but it's like terrifying. Like just because it's called an angel doesn't make it any like safer, in my opinion. Like especially with Enochian magic, like they're powerful spirits. They're crazy. Like you, yeah.
Yeah, your volume just went way down there.
Oh, that's weird. Okay.
Yeah,
Are you,
I'm not sure what happened.
is it still down?
Let's see.
Is it, huh, that's weird.
Yeah, I mean, I can still hear you. I just noticed it
Better
went
now?
way down when we touched
My
on that subject.
microphone closer. Is this
Okay,
better?
there we go.
Is
Yeah,
that
that's
better?
much
All right,
better.
great. So we'll just keep it like this. That's
All
okay.
right,
No
cool.
problem. Yeah.
But yeah,
All
I've
right. Yeah.
noticed the exact same thing. I think if the two were standing side by side in physical form, they'd probably look quite similar. And yeah, I mean, it seems to me that there, you know, when it comes to angelics, there are spirits that have been adopted by the Christian religion that are branded as angels. And those seem to be more like ancient gods to me when I work with them in person. Whereas the others seem to be more like astral egregores that have been created by the religion itself. And I think that they are every bit as dangerous to work with as the demonic forces. And yeah, they seem to be very similar in nature to me. So I don't like to really put labels on them, you know, because if you work with them in person, like you really can't. You can't put labels on them. They're you know, they have personalities, they have light and dark aspects, and you know, people think because it's an angel that it's this like little fairy with wings that's all sweet and kind, when no, some of those are just as brutal and terrifying as any other monster you could summon forth. So yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah.
cool.
Absolutely. It's really amazing. And once you work with these kind of spirits for a while, like you kind of are able to get more things to compare them to one another. And that's absolutely something that I found. I think one bit of a difference in terms of working them is like, you know, the way that they go about communicating with us. Like the demons kind of want things in a bit more of like a physical sense, but that's just maybe the demons that I've been working with, whereas the angels are sort of more of like mentally working with us and like
Yeah.
that kind of thing. But in terms of like demons are scary and angels are safe, I definitely wouldn't put much stock in that, because then you're headed for a lot of trouble.
Yeah, I find that most Christians are terrified of angels. The people that I've talked to, I know several people that are really steeped into the Christian religion, and you know, they have more problems in their life than anybody, of course. And you know, since I work with angelics, there's been a few of them that I've offered to do rituals for, you know, like a healing rite with Raphael or something of that nature, and they are scared to death to do even that. And I'm like, okay, well, you know, you're a part of this religion, you know, this is your foundation for your belief system. Why would you be so afraid to work with these entities in person? And I haven't been able to get a straight answer from any of them on that. So yeah, I think that's pretty interesting as well. But that's what I would expect from a religion that rules you out of fear and guilt. So
Yeah, totally. Yep. And I have most of my, I wouldn't say most, but a lot of my background in magic is in Thelema. And Aleister Crowley definitely taught to work with both angels and demons
yeah,
for that very reason.
absolutely. Yeah, they're both beneficial, and it really just comes down to which one you're working with. And you were talking about the goddess of Babylon being, you know, demonized. That's something that religion is notorious for, is demonizing those entities which are most helpful to us humans. For example, Astarte, the painting that you created for me. I mean, in the Goetia, she's Astaroth, and it's like one of the scariest descriptions in that book. You know, it says that, you know, the sorcerer has to wear a magical ring that he must hold in front of his face, otherwise she'll burn your face off, and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And I read that. I'm just like sitting there shaking my head, like, you've got to be kidding me. That's got to be one of the most beneficial spirits to work with if it has a scary description like that. Like, I find the more
Yeah.
things been demonized, the more helpful it is. And the more taboo a practice is, like, for instance, blood sacrifice, the more potent it is. So,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's nice to talk to somebody that is actually practice full circle, you know, not just a one-dimensional practitioner. So hats off for you and
Thank you.
as
Thank you. And,
well.
you know, part of why I like actually got the, you know, the sigil of Babylon tattooed on me in 2012 was because the guy that I was with at the time was like really suppressing my magical power and didn't want me to do any magic that he felt like I wasn't capable of doing. And I was being like really heavily controlled. And he was like, you can't handle working with Babylon. So then I left him and got this tattooed on me. And that's when I started getting really, really powerful in terms of my magic, and just my whole life started changing really fast, where I, even without like doing magical ritual, I could just manifest what I desired, like just over a short period of time. And as soon as I like figured out what it was that I wanted in my life, it would just start happening, and I could just create that, and I could just feel like the strength of her giving me power. And it's been honestly absolutely amazing. And she's something that so many people are afraid of. Even in the magical communities, there's a lot of stigma about working with Babylon. Like there really is. Even in Thelema, they almost discourage you from doing like Babylon workings, because it said a lot of people can't handle that power and the kind of changes that she'll manifest in your life. But if everyone did that, then nobody would work with her. And so
Yeah.
if you are brave and if you want to actually see what happens, then just go for it and just deal with what happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's part of spiritual ascent, and being a magician is, all aspects of fear have to be embraced, and you have to, if everything is a part of us, then in order to know thyself, then you have to embrace those aspects of yourself and this reality, even the ones that do terrify you or disgust you. And yeah, so that's really important to be well rounded and to work with both hands. I think that's important when it comes to staying balanced, and that's really the only way that we can break the shackles and step into our own personal power. So yeah, that's a really awesome story. It sounds like you've got a lot of experiences. We could probably talk about this all day. But,
Thanks. Yeah, it's been a crazy life, that's for sure. A lot of
absolutely.
magic, a lot of changes, but I'm so grateful for all of it. Like all the good and all the bad things that I've been through have really helped me learn so much about this crazy reality that we live in. And we're barely even scratching the surface here with these spirits and what's
Yeah.
actually going on. Like it's really amazing, and I'm just so excited to see what's going to happen in the future.
Yeah, it's an exciting time to be alive. I mean, we seem to be like right on the verge of a major shift in reality. And this is a crazy reality. I mean, we've got Bigfoots, we've got the Loch Ness monster, we've got aliens flying around. I mean,
Oh
we
yeah, I believe in all that stuff. I've seen UFOs. Yeah,
yeah,
it's I think
that's a cool subject too. Do
yeah.
you think that some of the spiritual entities that we work with might actually be physical beings, either on other planets or other dimensions?
Yeah, definitely. Like I'm one of those people that kind of feels like these spirits are aliens, and that's how it is. If you look up some information from like the UFO Disclosure Project and like people like that, they talk a lot about like the close encounter of the fifth kind, which
Yeah,
is when these aliens contact people in their subconscious. Usually it's when people are on like drugs or something, but us as magicians are actually contacting them through the spirit world. And so, I mean, like angels and demons and aliens, like they're all basically alien. Like I don't we don't know what they are, and they very
yeah,
well could be existing in some kind of alternate dimension or reality than ours, and they're being able to come through now through
yeah.
us.
Yeah, well, Crowley himself described alien contact. I mean, look at
Yeah.
the pictures of Lamb. He looks like a gray alien, and Crowley didn't really give us much information about those encounters, other than that they were terrifying and extremely intense. But after him doing those rituals, and when like John Dee and I can't think of the other man's
Edward Kelly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excellent. Did those rituals. That's when we really started. That's when the UFO things started exploding all over the planet, and we really started seeing a lot more of that contact going on. So yeah, I think that's very possible that these are indeed physical beings that are able to project themselves or their consciousness in order to communicate with us. So.
And what makes me really feel strongly about that is like, you know, synchronicities often show us the way about things.
Hmm.
And what got me into magic in the first place, like when I was 17, was my interest in UFOs and aliens from seeing them and having crazy experiences. I would look up online every single documentary I could find about aliens and I would
Same
watch
here.
it. Yeah, and so that's how I got into Aleister Crowley, because I found a documentary about him from looking for alien documentaries, and that's how I started getting into magic. And so really, like,
Very
it does
cool.
feel like it's like a full circle kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, we could talk about that subject all day too, for sure. One other thing I wanted to ask you about is you've recently been the recipient of the Rite of Deification that you can find in the Become a Living God catalog performed by myself. And so I really, as a magician yourself, I really wanted to get your take on the experience of having this done and like kind of hear a little bit about what it did for you and how it's helped you improve in any way, if you don't mind sharing that.
Oh my goodness. That was something. So first of all, I had never had anyone do some kind of like magic like that on me before ever. So it was remarkable how much it changed me. Like, first of all, the very next day, I got carded for cigarettes at the corner store next to my house. Okay. And like, so they see me all the time, but then they carded me when I went to the store. So I guess I must have looked even younger from that, or like a different person or something. And like, I used to have a really terrible chronic back pain, and that stopped. All
Wow.
of my like drives, like for all the things that are good that you should have, are like got like replenished. And it seriously like changed my whole life, where all the shit that was bad for me just started falling away. And I had been caught up in some fucked up, in some messed up stuff for a long time that I was basically stuck in and really didn't know what to do. And ever since the power of being a god got like put into me, I was able to just see through all of that and start completely changing my reality. It was honestly so amazing. And like, not only that, but some other really cool stuff has been happening. Like, um, I don't need to sleep as much. And it's like I'm supercharged all the time. Like, I only have to sleep for like a few hours a night, but I'm not
Yeah.
tired. And I have like so much energy. And like, yeah, it's been awesome. I'm so happy that the ritual was done for me. It made my life so much better, and I didn't even know that it could be better. But it was like, no, Orlee, your life was not good. This is not what a god should be like. Like, this is, it just started just changing everything. And all the maladies that I was feeling, they just started falling away. Like, within like the very next day, it was crazy. Like, I really felt like so different the next day. It was absolutely awesome. So I'm so glad that you were able to receive that ritual and like bring it to people, because I think that if someone can get that ritual done for them, that you should definitely do it, because it's so worth it.
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you. And yeah, that's exactly what it's designed to do. And those are the same type of experiences that other people are reporting having, including myself. I have a pretty nasty back injury from my time in service, and I lived on painkillers, Motrin. I had to eat a bottle of Motrin every day just to function. And after having that ritual done for me, that pain was alleviated. Like my motions were a lot more fluid. My vitality was increased, and just it really took my magic to the next level. So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing that, and I definitely want to get your take on it. And yeah, I'm working on putting together some other experiments with that technique as well that I'll be bringing to light very soon. So yeah, I really
That's awesome.
appreciate that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank, thank you.
And yeah, we're about to run out of time here. Is there anything else that you'd like to touch on before we hang up?
Well, if people are interested more in my work, you can check out my channel. It's called my name, Orlee Stewart, Orlee, and then Stewart. And I also have a website where you can check out the portfolio of all the magical artwork I've done and contact me and see some more information about like art shows I've done and stuff. And my website's motherofabominations.com, as well as I run the Mother of Abominations Facebook page, which shares different occult stuff in my art and things like that. So people who are interested in this kind of stuff, please come on over and check out what I have here for you.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah, I definitely recommend checking that out. I will certainly be getting more paintings from you in the future. I could not be happier with the one you did for me, and like I can see the power radiating from this. Like it is not just a painting; it is very much alive, and it is very much a portal to the goddess herself. So yeah, I fell in love with it the minute I saw it, and I'll definitely be getting more from you in the future. So,
Thank you. That truly means so much to me because creating this kind of magical artwork for people, like I love it. Like I love seeing people show me their altars that have my art on it. It's just the most wonderful feeling, and it really gives such great purpose to my whole magical journey in life. So I really appreciate it. Thank you.
yeah, absolutely. Well, we appreciate you, and thank you so much for coming on today. I really enjoyed talking with you, and you're by far one of the most fascinating people I've ever met. So thank
Thank
you
you.
for sharing your experiences, and you have a good night, Orly.
You too. Bye. Thanks.